Hey everybody, welcome to week 2. Video is out a day late because I needed to make sure I knew who all was in the class, and that's why I had to get the introduction videos graded first, and then I could create the teams, because this video is the most important video to understand how we move forward. If you cruise down here and look at announcements, I've posted several announcements, one of which is teams. These are your teams for the course. Team 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's 5 teams. Now, what might happen, and this happens almost every term, somebody might drop the class. And if that's the case and one team runs light, I might have to shift around teams and you just absorb more people. So for example, this team here only has 4 students. Well, if one drops, then the 3 other students get absorbed. I do not want to have more than 6 students in a group, because over 6, when you have 7 or 8, somebody gets lost. And this class is way too hard for 3 students. So hopefully everything stays as is, but I just want you to be aware that it might shift. However, your first order of business now is to choose a business. So let's go back up here to the other announcement I posted. Let's cruise out here. And critical next steps. So what you're doing by Thursday is you're sending to me who the project manager of your team is. I want to give some coaching here. It's not in this announcement. Let's say somebody in your team, because I watched several videos this week or last week and this week, that there's people in our class that own businesses. Maybe Helen says, can we use my business? That's cool. The rest of the team has a subject matter expert that owns a business, and they help build a social media portfolio for Helen. Helen should not be the project manager. Helen's passionate about her business, and she has a lot of information about her business, but it's hard to also be the project manager. Project manager should be objective and outside of the person that owns the business. Same thing if Helen knows somebody that owns a business. She still has passion for that person to really have a great social media portfolio. Again, it should be somebody else. So there's ways you can choose your business. One, and it's spelled out here, one is someone on your team has a business or intends to open a business once they graduate. Or they know somebody on the team that currently works with somebody that needs a social media overhaul. So maybe where you work, maybe it's a small business. Maybe Jesse says, I work at this small business. They can't afford social media marketing team to come in. How about we do it for them? That's brilliant. Or it's a business for which someone on your team knows the manager. Maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's somebody at church, what have you, but you know somebody that owns a business. That's how you're going to be able to find a business. Now, if all else fails, you can't find a business on your team, reach out to me. I know a small business owner or two that would like your service. However, it rarely happens because somebody on your team knows somebody that has a small business. That's what you need to choose. Now, that company you choose, let's say, Frank knows a person that opened up a barber shop recently and needs some social media marketing support. All your assignments for the rest of the term go towards helping Frank's portfolio. So you are now a consulting firm working with Frank, showing your work to Frank. I've heard from students it just feels more intense because you're working with an actual client. Okay? So the project manager is the person that I'll be communicating with the most, as long as it's something to do with the class. Again, if you have some personal dynamics or things you need to talk to me, please reach out direct, but most of the things should be funneled through the project manager. Also very important is the project manager is submitting the work on behalf of the team. I only want 1 submission per assignment. I don't want 4 of the same assignment submitted because no one trusts the project manager submitting the work. This is like a working environment. You can't be submitting more to the client. The person representing to the client is the one that presents. So you will be graded down. I'm telling you, this is something that muddies up the grade book if you submit more than 1. So please just stay to that. Also, this is the tough part of the project manager. the project manager will give me updates each week of how the team's doing. So one summary update each week saying, hey, the entire team were rock stars. We all worked evenly. Good. Everybody gets the same grade. But maybe Susan says to me, Cole, Bob did not work. He just was missing in action. First, don't include Bob's name on the assignment. He didn't work. He wasn't part of that assignment. Bob will get a 0. Or Susan says, Bob did minimal work. Really wasn't there for the whole team. Well, if the entire team gets an A, maybe Bob gets a C. And I know it's tough. You're saying, gosh, I don't want to do this to appear. But you're not doing your team a favor. You're not doing Bob a favor. You need to be holding people accountable. So make sure the person in a leadership role has the objectivity, but also has the confidence to share with me who is doing what now. Okay? And I've posted team folders that you can start communicating through. I'll show that in just a few minutes. You don't have to stay with that as your communication channel, but at least it starts the dialogue. Okay, your first team assignment, which is due next week, is a social media audit. You really can't do anything until you audit the current state of that business. And I'll show you some examples of how you do that next week in the video, but you got to start planning. You can't do anything until you choose a business. So this week, why I give this week as a buffer week with no assignment due, is you need to choose that business. Please take note that your team might change. I've already talked about that. If there's any concerns, reach out. Okay, so let's go back to our site. As already aforementioned, some people are already posting the teams, so that is great, great, great. Discussion questions are done for last week. And now into here, we have 2 discussion questions that are open. One is top certifications, and it ties in with your assignment of the week. And then you have Instagram marketing. So don't forget, 1 original post to both, 2 follow-ups to peers on both. You get full grade consideration, and you're golden. Now, the assignment for the week is one of my favorites because you walk away with 2 Google certifications, and they're free. And you just go to the Google Skills Shop, and you can do Google Ads or Google Marketing. Jump into one of these, and there'll be several different certifications you can take. Either you submit to me the 2 certifications you've earned. You should receive something in your email, or you will take a screenshot of your work completed. It has to be completed. Now, the catch here is Google, these are very serious certifications. This is not something they're just handing out to everybody. So if you don't pass the first attempt, you can't get back in for 24 hours. So make sure you're ready to take that exam so you can get the certification. I've heard from students in the past, I really appreciate getting a couple of certifications on the way out. And they're actually something you could put on your resume. I always tell people, put these on your resume. Okay, so let's get back out here. So that's what's going on for the assignment of the week. Again, a screenshot works, or just posting the 2 certifications you've earned. And then you're just going to give me a brief outline why you chose those over all the other certifications that you could have taken. And that will complete this assignment. Okay. And then that's it for this week, because again, I want this week to be focused on choosing that business. Okay, once you choose that business, everything unfolds easily, because you can see right down here, the next assignment in week 3 is your social media audit. If you don't have that business chosen, everything will fall apart. So make that decision now with your team. And again, I'm pretty impressed that somebody's already jumping in. How you use these forums, if you're on team 1, you jump into team 1 and post your contact information. Thank you, Taylor, for doing this already and starting the conversation. Now, you don't have to use these throughout the entire term. Maybe you find a different way to communicate. Maybe you're doing text messaging or your Discord or what have you, but at least this is a place to start. If you want to use it as your primary, that's awesome too, okay? So that's everything for now. I think that gets you up to date. Thank you for all the quick work in the very beginning, getting those videos in, so I can make sure I can form the teams. And please reach out to me anytime if you have any questions.